tries to mug you? What? What if your government tries to throw you in a can? What? You're gonna want a shotgun. Oh. What? An automatic rifle. And a lot of ammo. Guns? Yeah, guns.
We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They'll burn you out like a Waco. They'll stick your ass in a camp. Jackbooted cops in riot gear. Gonna kick your ass and laugh. The revolution is on its way. Better lock and load your AK. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun, buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. We're all set to riot. Buy a gun. Before you lose your Second Amendment. Buy a gun. They gave your money to the banksters. They stole your pension funds. It's time that we took to the streets. It's time we had our turn. A revolution is on its way, and the founding fathers would say, buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. Buy a gun, 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 buy a gun before you wish you bought a gun. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta riot in the streets. Revolution's not clean and neat. You gotta
It's Tuesday. We are live. This is PrimerTime. My name is Michael.
And I'm Nicholas. Welcome to the I Did Not Use a Government Email edition of PrimerTime.
That's something we should all be concerned about as Americans. She's the Secretary of State, and she was the Secretary of State for how long? And in that entire time, she did not send one email to the president, her boss.
Well, Michael, I'm just as shocked as you. I mean, he found out about it through the news like you did. So what's the problem?
There's something just incredibly odd about the entire thing. Heavens forbid that we have some sort of government agency that watches every email sent, except for the ones on her server.
Yes. It's interesting to me how she feels that she has the best secure internet server when she probably wasn't able to even have one at the time where her husband was banging everybody in Arkansas.
Well, let's not bring up the fact that she's a dead ringer for Webb Hall.
Yeah, well, she's also a dead ringer
So
for Cocker Spaniel.
this has the opportunity to bring down not just the Hildebeest, but the entire, almost the entire machine. To be honest with you,
I don't think it's going to go that far. I think this is another nail in the political coffin.
Somebody will have a stroke far before that.
Yeah, well, I mean, just don't get in a plane. Don't get in a plane at her insistence. That's all I got to tell anybody.
Yeah, don't get that Vince Foster treatment.
Yeah, don't end up like Ron Brown.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's cover something real quick. We tried to cover last week and we didn't actually get to the PrimerTime Project Beretta. If anybody will remember, it's a Beretta 92 FS 9mm pistol, and this one happened to be made in Italy, and it had a crack at the leading edge of the trigger guard, and it was a complete chunk out, and I had the chunk, and the chunk fit tight, and
Go ahead.
You there?
Ahead. Yeah, of course.
You there?
Yeah.
Chunk fit tight, and I had tried several different types of epoxies, and they'd all failed at about between 7 and 10 rounds. They just couldn't take the shock, and really driving me nuts on how to actually have this fixed and what I'm going to do to keep this pistol in service, because I mean it's actually a good functional pistol. It's just got that break in the trigger guard, and how would I fix
it? To pistol whip anybody, you know what I mean?
Well, I probably could now, because I've come up the genes fix, and I'll use the scientific nomenclature for it. I used a heat-activated isometric polymer banding system.
That, my friend, should come with an infomercial and a very good spokesperson.
It was for the uninitiated. I used shrink wrap.
But wait, there's more.
I ended up using heat shrink tubing. Yeah, the stuff that you like, when you connect two wires or something, or like you're putting wires up and you nice up your connections. I use that, and it's actually on there fairly tight. And I mean, I guess if you were to take a pair of channel locks, you could twist it, and if you really wrench on it with your hands, you can kind of get it to wiggle a little bit, but it's not going anywhere.
No, that's all that matters. You took something that wasn't functioning and made it functioning, so that'll work.
Yeah, and so it's a nice experiment. I don't know how long it'll last. I mean, it'll last, I guess, as long as heat shrink tubing will last.
Yeah, that'll work.
I hope. It's definitely more than serviceable for a beater, so to speak, firearm. I mean, it's great for a truck or something that you have no problem taking out. If you're going to go out and get really really messy.
Yeah, and I think the bottom line comes down to it is that when you're the working man, the trigger guard is not going to impede the function of the pistol in the first place. So, so long as you're not careless with it any more than you already were to break it, it'll still fire.
Yeah, and it does function perfectly. I'm sure I have not taken it out to put any rounds through it yet. But this is a much better securing of it than any of the epoxies were. Yeah. And I couldn't even solder it. I even tried heat soldering, and I was just racking my brain, and then let's try some heat shrink tubing, and it worked pretty good. So I used the thickest grade stuff I could find, and it was great, except for the problem was it was yellow.
Well, that's why they make model paint.
Well, actually, model paint wasn't anywhere nearby, so I stopped at the dollar store, and I picked up a $1 jar of black nail polish. And from about a foot and a half away, you can't really tell.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. Besides, if you're that close, you're either holding it yourself or somebody standing over you after you've already been shot.
Yeah, so it's I think it's kind of an interesting fix, and it works, and it probably has some sort of trade value at about $400, I would guess, right now. Just with the repair.
Yeah. And
honestly, I don't know if I'd trade it off because I don't think I'd find the equivalent value.
Yeah, I mean, not in addition to what you've already spent, and plus the labor and the sundry materials you use to make it.
I believe I've spent a grand total of $11 in two different types of epoxies.
Yeah, it's hard to recoup that.
The economy is in the crapper right now.
Hey, Michael, we had a question in chat talking about bedding barrels and what it's important and how do we do it. Give you a little bit of just a little background on why folks prefer to have a glass bedded barrel. It really helps with the accuracy. When you talk about having a barrel that's either banded to a stock or snug up against a stock, that stock can actually go through different changes. If it's a wood stock, you can have the wood will either swell or contract, and that can greatly affect the accuracy. Anybody who's had the 1022 with the wood stock, when that thing swells or dries out, that band will constrict on that barrel, and it'll make your bullet go different places. Glass bedding or pillar bedding, that helps to improve the accuracy, and it also gives you something that allows you to free float that barrel, which means that barrel will not come into contact with the stock except for where it screws in. And that's probably the best reason to do it. I mean, you're going to see some improved accuracy. it's actually a really good gunsmithing project for you to do yourself. And if you want to learn how to do it, the best way that I can tell you to go about learning is to actually go onto YouTube and look up Larry Potterfield from Midway USA. He has a tutorial on how to glass bed a rifle stock. So that's the quickest down and dirty about why to do it and how to do it.
Well, it's nice when you bring up like Midway USA. They're a company that I've felt more than comfortable using, and I mean this is by no means a commercial for them, but I've felt comfortable using them. I don't think their prices are bargain basement prices, but their service is top notch. And if you have any sort of problem, they will take care of it.
Yeah, certainly. And like I said, Brownells again was one of the companies that did not kowtow to the pressures of the rush and raise and jack their prices up. They kept prices low, and they said, hey, we're going to be here for the long run. We don't need to run off our good customers like some other companies did. So, Larry Potterfield
and that brings
is a
up
good guy.
That brings up a pretty interesting point. Brownell's not raising their price, and neither did Midway USA. But we've seen in the last week some pretty frantic shuffling by looks like the ATF in particular.
Yeah. So we
let's
talked about
kind of cover that.
Yeah, we talked about this last week. Basically, what we had the president coming out and saying that he wanted to go ahead and continue with his agenda of gun control, really starting after the new Senate and Congress started. He said he was going to go on and continue with his agenda unabashed, and he came out swinging. And the way he came out swinging was he brought in his cabinet members and said, "This is what I want you to do. Go forth and do what I say." So via the Department of Justice, which is headed by Eric Holder until a replacement is either confirmed or she is kicked to the curb, he's gone down to one of his bureaus, which is the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And he told them, go ahead, look at your regulations, and figure out how we can get rid of this type of ammunition. Because we tried to ban the firearms, that didn't work. So let's go for the next logical choice, which was to get rid of the ammunition. The exemption that had been in place for 223 and 5.56 as a sporting round was sought to be removed because of the SS-109 bullet being capable at 62 grains of penetrating body armor that is quite widely used in police forces across the nation. Newsflash, anybody that fires a centerfire rifle can most likely penetrate body armor. So this was a misnomer.
Yeah, because in the end, it's really not the bullet weight that matters; it's the velocity that matters.
Exactly, it's the velocity. And here's the thing: there was a whole list of items about what needed to be in place in order for the bullet to match the band. The different figures that were used, the 223 and the 5.56 did not meet those. The criteria was for bullets with diameters larger than 22 caliber, which the 223 does not have. So, just on its own merits, this was a backdoor attempt at further institutes of gun control. And what it came down to was somebody at the bureau, basically somebody there in their public affairs department, stepped on their own wee-wee and pushed something to press that had already been completed in January, and they put it out without this customer feedback period that is supposed to end on the 16th of March.
This feedback period was never a solicitation for opinions on the ban. It was for opinions on how best to implement the ban.
Correct.
So it was always a done deal.
This was a directive. This was not a question and answer period. Let's see how the public feels. This was you will do this, go forth and make it happen. So somebody at the department, who will probably be out of a job as long as Eric Holder's in charge of the DOJ, went out and released the 2015 regulation that was completed in January with the exemption removed for the 30-06, the black tip, and then the green tip 5.56. So when that got out, of course, all the major media outlets got a hold of it. Folks started writing to the ATF on their comment line. I personally sent letters to my senators and then also the ATF. Did not hear back from any of the three that I sent to, but the ATF came out today and said that the responses they received have numbered over 800,000, the bulk of which have been against the proposed ban on this type of ammunition. 50 senators, as well as 259 House of Representative members, have sent letters to the director of the ATF saying that this needs to stop. And the public affairs folks came out late this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, and said, "Yeah, we've received some comments, and we're actually going to go ahead and hold off on implementing any agreements to change the regulation until the end of the comment period. And then at that point, we will go ahead and look into ways about the things that need to be further explored." So here's the deal, folks. This was never going to be a public sensing session to where, John Q. taxpayer can go ahead and voice his opinions about whether or not this ammunition should not be banned. This was a directive. This was going to happen. Somebody stepped on their penis, and now the ATF has to back up the truck and say, hey, this isn't a done deal. This was a typographical error, something that went to press in January, and we just found out about it right now.
So they have to bring the lie out into the public.
It stinks.
The lie has to come public. The dirty dealings are out in the open with this one at this point.
This one was
the ATF's actions. So let me ask you: the ATF's actions right now don't actually take this ban off the table. The ban is still,
this is still,
so to speak, and going to live in the future.
Yeah, this is still proposed, and like I said, the only thing that they're saying is they are not going to push the ban. They call it the framework. They're not going to push this framework forward on the 16th, as they said, based on the letters that they've received both from the members of the House of Representatives and from the Senate. They are going to hold off and explore and look at some avenues of things that have been brought up, namely about how this ammunition doesn't even meet their own criteria to be considered armor piercing. One of the specifications in the regulation was that the ammo had to be designed for and primarily used in a handgun to be considered banned. So here's the deal. Anybody that's got a brain in their head knows that the 5.56 and the .223 Remington bullet was not designed for and primarily used in handguns. That in itself.
So this language right here, that primarily used in a handgun, does this potentially upset the ban on, say, like the import of the Russian military ammo?
Well, the 5.45
or the
by 39
military ammo?
Yeah, the Russian stuff that came out of the AK-74. This is the 5.45.
Not only that, but the 7.62 by 39 as well. That was steel cord.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Okay, you've got two different ways that the administration can go ahead and do gun control without having to go through Congress. Number one, you can do it through the State Department, as we saw during Hillary once again, when she decided that she no longer wanted to allow the re-importation, or basically the return of U.S. M1 30 caliber, M1 Garand 30 caliber rifles from World War II and Korea, being returned from the government of South Korea to the United States. She said that she did not want to allow those back into the States for fear that they could fall into the wrong hands. So, number one, nobody's ever really committed a crime with the M1 Garand. Number two,
what's the price on an M1 Garand right now?
Oh, geez,
like
get it from the
bare
CMP?
bones minimum, probably $700.
No, if you get it from the CMP, which is probably about the best place you can get it for the cheapest price, you're still paying upwards of $800, almost in the $900.
Okay,
so
something in that range. That's not at $700. That's the price of what? That's 5 high points.
Yeah, maybe. You're looking at one. At $700, you're looking at a decent AR-15, which has nearly what is it? M1 holds 8 rounds. You're looking at 5 times the capacity in a AR-15. So, and here we go. Like Dan in chat says, there's a couple different police agencies out there that have said that not one XM855 round has ever killed a police officer. So, you've got, I think it was the Fraternal Order of Police who said that this is a ban that's not necessary. There's no precedent for it to be enacted. And of course, you've got the folks at the Brady Institute for Gun Control. They're the ones that are pushing this, as well as everybody other moms against, whatever this month it is.
Moms against everything.
Yeah, moms against everything except for their daughters, getting knocked up. So there you go.
I find it interesting that in this past week, also Senator Menendez has been brought up on federal charges of corruption.
Senator Menendez should have waited until October before he decided to cross Obama. October, he would have been fine. He could have 30 days to say and do what he wanted. He screwed up, and he went against him twice. He went against him on doing deals with Castro, and he went against him on this latest thing right here. So,
yeah, the mess with Netanyahu.
Yep.
Well, needless to say, the baby raper crossed him twice, because that child molesting pervert is under some charges right now for corruption.
Yeah, but the age of majority in the Dominican Republic is 13. Michael, come on.
So explain to 9-year-olds, right? So anyhow, so he was one of the leading voices and signatories behind the new magazine ban, the 10-round magazine ban. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out now that they're going to basically lose one of their key sponsors.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. And out of those 52 senators that signed the letter going to the director of the ATF, not a single one of them had a D at the end of the name. You know what I mean? Kind of weird.
Yeah. Once again, that brings us back into who ends up supporting the gun control, and we always come back to the same kind of common denominators with it. I don't know if we want to push that again.
Sure do. So, anyways, we had a question again about selling the 80% lowers and what tools are necessary. Basically, with the ARs, as the law currently stands this week, an 80% lower is not considered a firearm.
No kidding.
Yeah, an 80% firearm is not considered a firearm as it is not complete. There are companies that sell the 80% lowers, and they sell the jigs, which is what you will need a drill press to complete, and that in itself would make it a firearm. So you'd have a completely drilled lower at that point. However, that's not to say that the agents from, again, the ATF will not go ahead and show up at your door and seize whatever they think that you have that they feel you shouldn't have. Ask the owner of Eris Arms in San Diego, California.
Now, he also had made a product that was designed for the 80% lower market for the home builder. He had a composite lower. It was polymer that had a different color polymer in the areas that you were supposed to remove it.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Anybody who's ever wanted to get into, building a firearm, I'll tell you, I've built one AR-15 in my time, and it was a learning experience. I've never had the opportunity to work around a lot of power tools and machinery and drill presses and things like that. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I lament the day that they removed shop class from my school, because if I would have learned that, I may have taken a different path in my career. But the thing is that there are institutions out there. There are universities and schools that have AR-15 teach you how to do your own build courses, and some of them will even go as far as, when you sign up for the class and you buy the course material, they will send you an 80% lower. They will send you a jig. They will send you the armorer's tools, and you get to build your own AR. So that is pretty cool.
The 80% lower kits are pretty interesting. My experience at finding them at shows, they're double the price of an online stripped ready to go lower. 100% lower.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen them at shows, honestly, no less than $80. Now, you can find a ready to go lower online everywhere for $50-$60.
But do you know why that is? Do you know why that is?
Oh, you're selling the myth of there's no numbers and nobody knows you have it.
That's right. You're buying the anonymity.
Well, yeah, good luck with that. So let's talk about that for a moment, okay? If you've ever filled out the yellow form, the 4473, they know you've got one, and if you've got one, you've got 100.
That's the prevailing wisdom. So
If you've ever subscribed to Guns and Ammo magazine, you know you've got one. If you've ever joined the NRA,
are not off limits. So if it works for telephone companies, you can rest assured it works for newspapers and periodicals as well.
That's right. Let's look at the NRA. I mean, National Rifle Association. No, I'm sorry, it's the National Registry Association. Everybody who's on the NRA's list has one.
Yeah,
whether you have one or not, you've got one in their eyes. Now.
You are a sympathizer. So,
right. So
yeah, and that's one of the things that, I mean, people we always talk it up. Do your homework, do your research, find the best possible place for the best possible price. I was looking around online. There's a company I wanted to bring up. A lot of folks are getting into the different kinds of builds in the AR series. You can go online and you can find stripped lowers and stripped uppers. Generally, your lowers are going to go anywhere between $49, $59, $69. Your stripped upper is going to be anywhere between $59 and up. I found a company online. It's called Tactical Ambush. They have what they call a stripped upper, but it's an upper receiver that has assist already installed, and they're selling that right now for $69. So, if anybody's out there on the net and looks up Tactical Ambush, that was actually a decent deal. Because anybody who's tried to put in a forward assist knows you put that pin in the wrong way, and it ain't going to work.
Yeah, I've not had the displeasure of building an R15. That's really not in my. That's not what I would consider fun. To me, the AR-15 is just we've discussed this many times. To me, it's a bundle of mess.
Yeah,
it's a bundle of mess, and problems waiting to happen unless you start getting into the big money area.
It's the iPhone of semi-automatic rifles. Because anytime you pay for it, you're just going to end up spending more to put more stuff on it.
And that's once again ran into that over this weekend. Maybe that's something that you and I were speaking about earlier. The modularity of it leads to an over consumerization of the item.
Yeah,
and
that goes in a lot of different arenas. It just happens to be that prior to the M4, when it was just the M16A2. And there were no rails, with the exception of anybody that ever held the M203 grenade launcher. That was the only accessory that ever used to go on the M16. When they decided to shorten that rifle and turn it into a carbine barrel and add the quad rail, that's when you saw people starting to go nuts with the tactical flashlights and
Well, how many different sets of furniture does Magpul make for the same rifle?
Oh yeah, and as many as people will buy.
That is it right there.
Yeah.
That is it right there. And this brings to mind something a forum I belong to, and one of the guys in the forum brought up how he likes to keep the aesthetics of his weaponry, and if anybody else in their collection really worries about the aesthetics of it and whether or not this pistol looks right with this rifle, and how they all go over together. And at this point, I'm thinking, yeah, just make sure it matches your purse, Nancy.
You must be talking about Nancy Pelosi.
No, Nancy Boy. Nancy Boy is what this guy was. It was it really highlighted, however that's supposed to be said. It's really brought that to light, the amount of commercialization and how much it's turned into like a male Barbie, and really it's almost not even the weapon anymore. It's how you want to dress up your toy immediately.
Well,
and not necessarily providing any advantage with it, at the same time. It's all just about.
Some people like to do the Cerakoting. Some people will do the hydro dipping. Some people will go as far to put the hydro dip on their magazines. So if you need the flaming skulls on your magazines, more power to you. I'm not going to be the guy to criticize how you want to spend your money, as long as you're not donating to some anti-gun cause.
I will say that if you put flaming skulls on your 40 caliber Glock 23 and think you can turn around and get $550 for it, the amount of money you spent on the flaming skulls to go on that 40 caliber pile of crap is going to be double what I take off your asking price. Yeah. So that becomes a $300 handgun. That becomes worth less than the Project Beretta in my eyes.
Yeah. The whole thing that I see is, you've got so many people out there in our society right now that are pushing, people to divest their stocks of gun control. I saw the news about Snoop Dogg, for anybody that's out there, telling his listeners and his followers on Twitter that he wants them to divest of gun company stocks. You will talk about the guy who made his fortune by telling everybody about having his Glock in his hand and capping them fools, turning around and saying, yeah, we need to hit the gun company.
I believe he screamed 187 on a motherfucking cop. I believe that was the line.
It was either him or Ice Cube, one of the two.
Well, so yeah, I find that to be sort of in the realm of what the fuck, just because he brought himself up being gangster, and now he's Rasta Jaw Lion. That's really easy to attain that and to have that perspective on life when you've got 80 gajillion dollars.
Oh, certainly, because he has achieved them status.
Right.
Yeah.
Now he can hang with Bloomberg.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do, and the way I look at it is folks need to. Yeah, folks need to get educated. Folks need to do their own research. Hell, don't take everything we say for granted. If we're going out and screwing stuff up, don't feel afraid to fact check us. I'll tell you, when it comes to firearms, we're pretty good. We may make mistakes, but I'll tell you what, we're not like the gun control crowd that just retweets and just regurgitates everything that they hear from the talking points. We don't have talking points on this show.
Well, if we do have any talking points, they're very simple. It's buy a gun and buy some ammo, and that kind of brings back to what we were talking about earlier with this 5.56 ban. Well, in addition to all the assorted bullshit that was going on through the week with the rise and fall in the story and whether this is going to be legal or whether it's going to not be legal, comes the inevitable rush that always happens anytime any sort of control is mentioned.
Oh yeah, certainly. And like I said, I saw last week, on my local gun boards, folks trying to sell 5.56, the green tips. They were trying to sell those for up to $1.50 per round. I went into the big box store today, and they've got plenty of it, and it is at 50 cents a round. So you're gonna have a chance to go out and buy these from the gun trader crowd. That's knuckleheads taking advantage of knuckleheads.
That's right. If you pay $1 a round for 5.56 right now, you're a sucker, and I'd like to sell you some 22 as well.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. We talked about this a little last week and maybe the week before. I talked about the 300 blackout. And I know you did not have a favorable opinion of that round. I actually did a little bit more research, and I've kind of come around in the pro category of the 300 blackout.
You never left the pro category.
Well, I did a little bit more research and
you are completely biased, and you did research that supports your agenda.
Well, doesn't everybody? I thought we twist the facts to support our conclusions.
Well, that's the way we're supposed to do it, right?
Yeah.
I still think that it's the answer to the question that nobody should have asked.
There you go.
Uh,
Well, and here's the
that,
thing,
that,
because somebody had to ask the question, because there was the rush on 5.56. So here's the deal.
that's a rush on the 5.56. There was still a rush on there was a rush on everything.
There was, but there was also the prospect of having the AR-15 banned altogether. So, you can actually get 300 blackout in barrels that you can have attached to a sporting arm like a traditional hunting rifle. So that's not an issue. One of the things that I see as the biggest benefit for folks that do like the AR series rifles, you can go ahead and build it the same way that you would build for a normal 5.56, with the exception of the barrel and the flash hider, and you can basically upgrade from that 5.5 millimeter going all the way up to 7.5 millimeter. Basically, the benefit is that
Okay.
you got a 30 caliber bullet where you used to have a 22. And
Man, the 300 Blackout Association should hire you as a spokesman.
well, I was an Army recruiter, so I could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
I just, to me, the 7.62 by 39 does more than 7.65. 0.311 is better than 0.308.
Ah, you're the bigger is better crowd.
Well, if you got it, flaunt it, man.
Hey, it's not how big it is; it's how you use it.
Yeah, that's what all the little guys say.
Yeah, you got to come up. You got to come up with these to make yourself sleep better at night. So basically, what I'm saying is that you've got a bullet in the 300 Blackout that was designed on the 5.56 or the 223 bullet case. That bullet case is cut down to accommodate the 30 caliber bullet from a 308. So you now have that 308 bullet with significantly amount less powder, but still being able to be fired out of that platform. I really don't see not a benefit. I don't see a cause for concern, especially when you look at, hey, how far is this round actually going to go? You're not going to shoot this at 600 yards. Certainly not. The bullet drop is significant after 300, and generally the way that I looked at it is, as I'm hunting, if I'm further away than 300 from my target, I just need to get closer. So for me, that's a good thing, because I don't want a round that's going to continue to travel past what my perceived backstop was. And that's one of the things that I think that, as you know from Chicago, the 7.62 doesn't stop at its intended target.
No, and that's usually the problem when you use an intermediate battle cartridge in the middle of town.
Yeah. Well, remember, Chicago is a gun-free zone, so.
Chicago Grabe.
Yeah.
What do you think about that secret cop prison that's going on in Chicago?
What secret cop prison are you talking about? I know nothing.
We know nothing about this.
Yes. Show us your papers, please.
Yeah, Chicago Grave, man. Who'd have thunk that one would have popped up in Mossad Mayor Rahm's backyard?
Oh, remember, if you have trouble going to, getting your concentration on, he'll send you to camp. Was that too soon?
Yeah, that was pretty close. That was 6 million times worse than the last one, dude.
Oh, the hits just keep on coming, because that was only about 70 years too late. So, I'll tell you what.
It's another interesting Rahm Emanuel story I had seen, and apparently his son had been mugged, accosted, robbed a few months back by impoverished urban youth of undisclosed nationality or coloration.
It was disenfranchised citizen.
Disenfranchised citizen, agreed. And his iPhone was stolen, and I guess he was held at a threatening stance, and was forced to give up his passcode so they could open up the phone. Well, apparently they tracked down his phone. Now, I want to know, what are the odds in a city like Chicago, which I'm sure has, more than one or two iPhones stolen in a day, that, 4 months later after this happens, they come up with his iPhone.
Yeah, but the NSA can't come up with Hillary Clinton's freaking email address.
Exactly. Well, this is what happens when the dog eats your server, and we should have all learned from Lois Lerner and the IRS to never leave your server next to your dog.
That's right, because eventually they'll find the stuff when the dog shits.
They'll patch it all together.
Yeah.
That's the worst hard drive in the world.
We got a guy in chat talking about the 8mm Mauser, which I don't know if you know this.
Sure.
I'm very, very fond of. That is one of my areas of expertise.
That's your baby right there.
That is my bread and butter. There's like I said, I think for every type of firearm out there, there's multiple chamberings in terms of the powder load that goes in, as well as bullet weights. With any firearm out there, you want to definitely get to know what that firearm likes to use and what it doesn't like to do. Quick story: I had a 7mm Remington Magnum. Bad idea. I am a guy with bad shoulders. That's 20 years of doing push-ups. Not good on them. And 7mm Remington Magnum will put a hurting on you with a 180 grain Remington core locked. I've had that rifle probably for 7 years. I was not able to fire one box of ammunition. I fired 12 rounds out of a box of 20 and sold it with the remaining 8 rounds. So 8mm Mauser,
starter kit.
Yeah, perfect starter kit for anything that you want to kill in North America. Outside of killing, grizzly bears, bull elks, bull moose, you probably don't need that much. But folks that talk about the 8mm Mauser, the reason it has that steel butt plate is because it's got that full wood stock. That wood stock does a lot to reduce the recoil, and the military specification for that round was 196 grains. That's not an overly powerful round. You're probably not going to want to shoot 40 rounds at the range with it, but two or three shots on target after you've zeroed, that's probably going to do you fine. You won't have any lasting effects or injuries from it. I had just actually had shoulder surgery, and I thought, maybe I'll go ahead and do some work to the barrel to get a muzzle brake installed, see if that'll help dissipate a little bit of the recoil. I can't say that I noticed anything, maybe a 5% reduction in recoil. I probably would have done better to do something what's called a kick stop. And that's where they go ahead and drill into the stock, and they put a tungsten rod in there, and that helps reduce the recoil even greater. So
just a little bit more weight.
Exactly. And one of our guys in chat
let
talked
me
about
throw something at you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me throw something at you. You've got the 8mm, excuse me, which was the German military round, and in its service life, it was comparable to the 303 British round.
Yeah, 303 British round, and then basically the Americans kind of took wind of it and developed the 30-06 afterwards. You're talking about a round that was developed in 1898.
All right, so you've got, say, that, and in reference to the 303, the British did a drill they called the Mad Minute, which was to load and fire that rifle as many times as they could in a minute.
Yeah, because basically at that time, the British were implementing linear warfare, which was long formations of infantrymen firing that rifle as best as they could, hoping to defeat waves and waves of Zulu warriors in Africa.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, no, not really. But they did it for a time. They did it in India. They did it they did it in a lot of their colonies in southern Africa. So, everything has its limitations. So.
Yeah, that's a tactic that needs to be sort of pushed to the wayside.
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
Let's hit safety real quick. All right. Every firearm is loaded until you are absolutely positively sure that you have checked it and it is unloaded. Know what your target is, know what is beyond your target. Keep the barrel out of everybody's face and keep your booger hook off the bang switch.
There you go. We had one of our chat buddies out there threw out a picture of the Privy Partisan. Privy's good stuff. For all my Serbian homeboys, I say stani ili puts it. And if you don't know Serbian, that means stop or I'll shoot.
That's a handy thing to know.
That's right. I tell you what, I don't know a lot of
Good
languages.
say that one more time. That had a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Stani ili puts it. So there you go.
You,
That
you
is
said,
your
I guess that means where exactly you're going to put that bullet, right?
that tells them, hey, don't move. I'm on you. So, no, that's one of the things that I think a lot of folks got to be comfortable with is getting ammo from different sources, whether that's going and getting it online, getting in good with your local retailer, or especially if it's a smaller store. Definitely don't be afraid to go out and find the best value for your buck. We can't say it enough now. I mean, we just experienced this thing with the ATF and them wanting to ban another type of ammunition. I genuinely believe that this is something that can extend to all centerfire rifle cartridges for the sheer fact that they can all penetrate body armor. Um, when you look at it, if shooting and target practicing or hunting is something you enjoy doing, um, you certainly want to be prepared. You may even want to get into reloading, and that's something that we don't talk a whole lot about. Guys, we're talking about the 7 millimeter Mausers and the 8 millimeter Mausers, and the 303, the 35 Whelen, all these different unique chamberings, and we didn't even talk about the Wildcat rounds in the 6 millimeter category. Um, Reloading is going to give you an opportunity not to shoot at a cheaper amount. You're going to be able to shoot at a larger volume for the same price as what you would do for buying, finished ammo from a store or from a factory. So
After a certain number of rounds, after certain costs are factored in.
certain costs are factored in to include your own time, your own level of experience, and your own knowledge. But what you are going to have is something that you have developed for your own firearm, that it says, this is what I like to shoot, and I'm going to give you consistent performance if you feed me this.
And some of these military rifles, especially the Mauser rifles, 7 millimeter, 8 millimeter, there's 7.5 millimeter, there's a 7 millimeter. These rifles usually can be had at what could be considered value prices now.
Oh, certainly,
I mean,
certainly, yeah. The
less
only thing that
often.
you're not going to find at a bargain basement price is probably the 1898 8 millimeter Mausers in the 8x57 IS. If you get it in the .318, which is the 8x57 I, that's a different bore diameter. So you can have some problems if you try and fit that larger 323 bullet through there. But you're able to find 7 millimeter Mauser, which is a 7x57. You're able to find the Italian Carcano or the Argentine Mausers, the cavalry Mausers. You're able to find all of those probably in your area for a good bit less than you're going to expect to find them for.
Now, you know what? I'm going to probably date myself here, but I do remember Sportsman's Guide about, let's say about 15 years ago or so. They had a shipment of Argentine Mausers that I believe were in 7 millimeter, and they were pre 1898 or something like that, and
Yeah, they would have most likely
they
been
would
the
actually ship them right
7.65.
to your door.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry?
certainly. They were probably the 7.65.
I believe so, and they would ship it right to your door. And the price on the rifle was kind of pricey, but I mean, shipped to your door, no paperwork, no nothing like that. That was the thinking at the time.
Yeah.
I believe they were in the neighborhood of $320, $350, something
you can get
like
them
that.
for less than that. So I mean,
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I mean, the price at the time was insane, but I do remember that they were shipping them directly to your door.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that people. I don't know. You remember Mitchell's Mausers?
Oh yeah, how can we forget Mitchell's
Yeah.
Mausers?
So Mitchell's Mausers were the only people keeping Zastava in business for a while, because they were taking all the Yugoslav Mausers, the clones, and they were marketing them as German Mausers. There is a difference, folks. So the ammo from Serbia is good. The Mausers from Serbia, not so good. So take a look at that.
Well, it wasn't necessarily even a problem with the rifles and the functionality. It was more the fact that he was throwing a scam. He was telling people he was selling them one thing, and he was not selling them that.
Exactly, and people didn't realize that until it was too late and they'd already spent the money. So when you have something, I was going to say, when you have the Mauser action, that design has been copied the world over. if you have if you have a Winchester or you have a Remington, they've taken a lot of their design elements for their extractor from that Mauser action. So it's the most reliable, I'd say, in the bolt action that we've seen, short of the short magazine Lee Enfield. So
now the Lee Enfield rifles are becoming they're becoming a little more rare, and the ammunition for those is sort of drying up. You don't find that large bulk deal of surplus ammo anymore.
right. Not only that, like I said, that's one of the reasons why people get into reloading too, is they've got a caliber that's hard to get a hold of in the traditional marketplace. I was actually really concerned about that in terms of coming back from Germany with 8 millimeters, because I was sitting there thinking, where am I going to find this chambering in the States? Lo and behold, I found my Privy Partisan ammo, and not only in just the regular, the lead tipped 196 grain. I found it in the Grom configuration, which is their higher end. The way I look at it is Federal makes it. It's not going out. I think even Winchester had a metric series that they had done some production on. It's out there. You just got, like I said, you got to go look to your online aggregator and find where it's at. Lucky Gunner does a lot of the more modern American standard chamberings, and then you have like Ammo to Go and Gunfinder and whatever else that's out there. So there's a lot of ways you can go ahead and continue shooting the calibers that you like. You just can't fall victim to the likes of others that are haters and tell you, oh, you shouldn't have that. I mean, if you have a firearm that you like to shoot and you're willing to put in the time for it, go for it.
You're just trying to make an argument for 300 Blackout. I know how you think. So let me ask you this: since you're the 300 Blackout fanboy
you're going to
of
say
the week.
300 Flame Out.
No, well, that's close. That's what I think. That's honestly what I think the round is going to be. I think it's going to be the 300 Flame Out. I think in 10 years nobody's going to know what the hell that was.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
does anybody make a firearm other than an AR series firearm for 300 Blackout?
Yeah, actually, AAC came out. The people that invented that round based off the 300 Whisper cartridge, they actually have made bolt actions in that chambering. So there are actual bolt actions with that outside of the AR platform.
But they're only made by AAC?
Well, no, there's other folks out there. I'm just telling you that's one right that I know.
I don't know. It just doesn't ring all the bills of something that, to me, is the answer to anything.
Well, here's the thing. I got opinions from everybody saying to go from 5.45, go up to 6.5 Grendel, go up to 6.8 SPC. You were the bigger is better crowd, right? So the way I look at it is I want to keep it in a bullet that I can get, whether I have to strip it from something I already have if I'm going to be reloading. And plus the reloading was also a side of it where I could go ahead and take stuff that I shoot for my 5.56, clean the brass, resize it, push it through the die, and then go ahead and fit it with the 308 bullet and be good to go.
Now, why don't you just buy like an AR-10?
Yeah, I already have a semi-automatic, so I don't need to go ahead and invest that kind of cash. I can continue building that AR in the way that I was going to build it anyhow, with the exception of a different barrel. That, to me, spending $299 is much better than spending $2,000.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I just don't see the magic of the 300 Blackout. Maybe that's me being,
Well, see, and I think that's the
whatever.
thing. I think you're looking for the mystique, and I'm not looking at it from, this is a gun that's going to solve the world's issues and going to promote democracy. No, this ain't it. What I'm looking at it for.
I don't even think that thing's going to promote the eradication of hogs, to be honest with you.
Oh, no. You have to buy the Hog Hammer ammo. That's going to be
Hog
like
Hammer ammo
yeah.
from.
That's going to be like Zombie Max with
they make
the
it for
red
300
tip,
Blackout
man.
too.
Oh yeah, certainly.
Oh my God.
I will tell you that I actually got a mailer this evening from Natchez Shooting Supply, and they are selling 300 Blackout in the non-suppressed variety or the non-subsonic variety, and they are selling that for $24 for 20 rounds. So that's actually probably the cheapest I've seen that ammo. Went into the
Look,
big
I'm going
box.
to tell you this. It doesn't count as a real caliber unless they make zombie max ammunition.
I was going to say, yeah, if they're gonna if they're gonna go out and get the green tip, the lime green tip instead of the hunter green tip, when you look at it this way, expect the ATF to come out with a ban on zombie max ammo because it has green tips.
Oh, I just can't. I can't wait to see the faces of people that have that went out and bought all the ammo and now think they're going to turn around and, well, I paid $1.50 for this stuff. Well, you're a sucker.
Yeah. Well, and that, like I said, you just get into reloading, and some people actually have a workshop, which I'm envious of, because I have a garage full of stuff that was packed up in a move almost a year ago and still hasn't moved. I've moved around it. It has stayed put. But when I do have a chance, maybe this summer once the rain stops, I'm going to go ahead and get a reloading bench set up. I've already got my presses. I've got my dies. I just need time, and time is fleeting because when you get towards the end of the career, there's a lot of things you got to do in order to make sure that you're set up to go into the next career. And I don't get exactly the amount of time that I want to go ahead and continue my reloading. So, for those of you who can do it, enjoy those Saturday afternoons, because there's those of us who can't.
I think your next career, you should just retire.
Yeah,
that's really what you should do for your next career.
I wish I could. However, you know what? They don't pay very well at Walmart, so I'm going to need to be able to do something that pays a little bit more.
And I think you probably get cranky the minute you got replaced by an automated scanner or something like that.
I would be more upset if I had to use the automated scanner. I will tell you, for our listeners out there, if any of my gun stores ever went to the self-checkout kiosks, I would stop going there in a heartbeat. I've literally been escorted out of the supermarket for going office space on a on a self-checkout kiosk. Fucking peace and load letter. What the fuck?
Yeah, they have a tendency to not like you to bang at those machines. They're kind of expensive, It costs like $78,000.
They got a digital scale in there that has to be calibrated, and you know this because if you ever did not put something that you've scanned into the bag the exact correct way, it'll tell you to please put the scanned item into your bag. It's like,
yeah, I
already did that.
Use those machines. They really kind of annoy me, and I think they take away jobs. Oh, not that those are great jobs or anything, but
yeah. I lived in Washington out there, Captain Gringo. He talked about planting tulips, and Mount Vernon, while pretty, it's got shitty weather, and I'm not going to go do anything with tulips. So
yeah, well, the real answer is that job planting tulips is $15 an hour, and you can plant tulips here all day.
Yeah, well, Michael, I want to get one thing out there that we didn't get to in the show tonight. Got this on good authority from my buddy out there in the nether regions of the United States. A Cabela's in Augusta, Georgia, was smashed with a brick through the front door, and assorted hooligans in gloves and masks and dark clothing made off with 15 firearms and a value of about $8,000. So, tell you what, Augusta has not changed.
Augusta, that's a home to some disenfranchised urban youth, is it not?
That's exactly the case, and probably they are assigned to the United States Army in the region. So. All right.
Here's a little secret. I was born in Augusta, Georgia.
Well, hey, I want to say thanks to our listeners. Thanks to Jules, Michael. Hey, good to be on with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you to UCY. Everybody stick around. We got some good programming coming up. A little bit of everything for everybody. So thanks a lot.